Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got sitting on the table a Fox FX599 Karambit, and this has been my EDC for probably a few months now, and it's holding up quite well, and I'm really kind of enjoying it, so I wanted to share it with everybody on the channel. So you may notice when you look at the perfectness of the edge, it's not currently perfect, it needs to be sharpened a little bit. It does use N690 CO steel, which is kind of a mid-grade steel, somewhat comparable to 154 CM. It's kind of popular in Europe, and some of the characteristics of it is that it's not as tough as some steels, and the edge retention, it's decent, it's kind of mid-grade. This happens to be made in Italy, so of course the European choice of steels would be consistent with this. It's a little easier to sharpen, and it's very corrosion resistant. It's not a top-of-the-line steel, but it's not a low-end steel either. It's just now probably needing to be sharpened, and I've used this quite a bit as a utility knife. So it's in my pocket, and of course it's definitely designed as a defensive knife, but it also works good for opening packages and all the other stuff that you might need a knife for. It is a karambit, and it is designed to be carried as a defensive knife, and it's got a few features to that end. One thing is it's got this hook on the end that you can put a finger in, and I've got my little finger in it at the moment, but you can carry this either way depending on which way you want to carry it. You can do it this way, which tends to be kind of the preferred approach for this style knife, but because I'm carrying it on my left side and it does have a reversible clip, I want the blade facing away from my body when I pull the knife, which means I'm going to end up with it like this. And there's a number of different techniques on these. This may not be the absolute perfect technique, but the alternative would be to have it turned in this way. And one of the characteristics of this knife, besides having a liner lock, is that it has this hook on it. And as you draw the knife, this hook will catch on the edge of a pocket or whatever clothing it's in and open the blade, so that you can grab it, snatch it out of your pocket, and it's open and ready to go. So once you perfect your draw on it, it's right in your hand. If I kept this on my right side with the clip this way, then I might very well be able to draw it the way, the classic hold it this way method. But because I want the blade facing away from my body, I don't want it turned this way so when it opens, if I screw up, it's going to cut a chunk in my leg. I want it turned this way. I'd rather cut my pocket than cut me. So I end up, once it's drawn, with it like this. It does have a nice swell here for your thumb. It fits nice and comfortably if you happen to have it in that orientation. There is a stop here, and of course you can see that there's finger grooves. So once this thing's in your fist, it's staying there. With a 2.56 inch blade length, and it's 0.12 inches thick, it's a thin blade, so this isn't meant for prying and chopping. It does open packages quite well, but other than that, it's more defensive. You're not going to use this as a hardcore cutting up, heavy-duty cutting knife. It's not designed for that. These G10 grips, these black G10 grips, are really comfortable, but they're grippy, and it's got contours in all the right places. So it's just a comfortable knife to hold. The MSRP on this is between $130 and $150. They don't actually state an MSRP, so I'm more basing that on what I see online. The spread's roughly $130 to $150. Much below that, you might be getting into counterfeits, and much above that, they're probably just overpriced. But it's got a lot of the features you would want. The reversible clip, the nice grip, and even here you can see there's contours so that when I've got my fingers wrapped around it, it's not edges biting into my hand. The ring is T6-6080 aluminum, so it's an aluminum alloy. It's really durable, but it's really light. And that's one thing about this knife. The whole thing weighs 3.53 ounces, so it's not a particularly heavy knife. I haven't fought with this knife, and hopefully, if things go well, I'll never fight with this knife. But I'm confident that if I ever did find myself in that situation, that it would do quite well. But having this lightweight, effective, fast knife, it's not an automatic by any stretch, but it actually kind of feels like an automatic based on this. I'm set up to either open the latest toy that just was delivered or fend off an attacker. One thing I will note, it does have what appears to be a flipper, but it's really ineffective as a flipper. I've played with it. You can't get enough momentum on it to flip it open. Now you can flip it and do that, so you can kind of give it a flip and a whip, But unlike some of the Kershaws that I've got, where you can entirely open the knife with the flipper, really on this one, all you can use the flipper for is to get it started, and you're going to have to finish it with a kind of a swing, and you kind of have to do it in one fell swoop. You can't start it with the flipper and then swing, and you just master that. So whichever way you're going to want to do it, whether you're going to draw it from a sheath or something where this isn't going to work and you're going to have to flip it, or whether you're going to let it catch on your clothing. And of course, if it does catch and it only partially opens, you can finish the job with a bit of a snap. And however you open it, when you're done, there's this serrated liner lock, and you just push it in with a thumb and close it. There are no springs in this. It does have a tendency to bias towards not opening on its own, and it's kind of the sticks here, the minimal spring tension that you get from the lock. So let me kind of give you just kind of a view of the knife in detail. So there's the liner lock in place with the serrations. Kind of rotate it around. Got the G10 grip where I've got the ring at the bottom. A little bit of grooves in the grip. This is a stainless steel clip, so it's not going to rust. Come up to the knife, and then if I kind of go over the other side, it's pretty much the same on reverse, except you'll see where the clip would go if I reverse it. Now you can't put the clip on the top end, so it's either a left or right, and then it's just going to come down to what you feel comfortable, the direction this should face in your pocket versus the clip versus parts of your body that you don't want this thing to come in contact with. Overall, for the price, the weight, the size, and the ergonomics, I've actually found this to be a good knife. I guarantee you can find karambits like this significantly more expensive with significantly nicer steels, but a lot of times what I'm finding with these types of knives is, so I have to sharpen it every once in a while. Even a good high-end steel you're going to need to sharpen every once in a while, and this one has actually worked quite well. A couple other things I'll mention. They call this finish Hydroglider, and this is the black version of it. It's kind of a PTFE or Teflon involved coating, so it's smooth, it slides, and of course it minimal friction moving inside the knife itself. So it's pretty durable coating. I've used this quite a bit, and the only thing that I've got is a couple little scuffs here and kind of a need to sharpen the blade. But other than that, the finish has actually held up really well, especially where it would be rubbing against my clothing or other things in my pocket when I'm carrying it. Because a lot of times I'll have my keys in the same pocket as the knife because I don't want them in the pocket with the pistol. So the whole knife is holding up well against daily use. They also, if black isn't the thing that you're looking for, because it is kind of plain, I like that because it kind of blends in. When it's in my pocket, it doesn't stand out. It's not obviously noticeable. It doesn't really shine or glint that much, especially because in your pocket this much of it's going to be sticking out. But if you want something with a little more bling, they've got a stainless steel finish, a silver finish version of this. They've got one with orange grips. They've got one with copper accents. So if you're looking for a little bling, you can get it. I prefer to have my knives be a little bit more subdued because they blend in. That way there's not any attention drawn to the fact that it's there. It's one of those things that nobody really needs to be paying attention to what I'm carrying when I'm out. So if you're looking for a cool little karambit at a reasonable price that's going to hold up well, I think this would be a very good choice, and I have seen them. They are actually available. And beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, kind of all over the place. And thank you.